Do you have a completely useless degree? Do you feel that you were sold that the transferable skills of pulling all-nighters, learning to live off frozen pizzas, and drinking your body weight in alcohol aren't actually useful? You too could be compensated with 30 years of salary being deducted to pay off a loan that you will never completely get rid of, so it kind of feels like the loan isn't even real. But why did you get the degree in the first place? Surely you knew most of this before, and why would I still do it all over again? Hi, I'm Pia, I'm 25, and I'm having a quarter life crisis. Join me and my friends as we discuss our existential dread to try to solve our quarter aged questions. This episode: why do I have a degree? I recently had a job where my entire responsibility was to ensure that around 30 people were kept caffeinated to the absolute max, with all the teas and coffees I could possibly make for them. Which does raise the question, why did I spend 4 years to achieve a drama degree when I was making coffees beforehand and probably to a better standard? I had a lecturer who told me before starting my placement year that we needed to get a placement where we were doing actual work, not making hot drinks for people. But now it seems to be a majority of my actual job. The thing is, it does feel like, regardless of your degree, you have to start from the bottom when you graduate. When choosing your degree, you're likely to still be a teenager. You don't know what you want to do with the rest of your life. I chose drama at university as I wanted to study the subject further, and at the end of the day, that's what a degree is: further study, not a key to getting a job. That being said, I don't know what job I was planning on getting in drama anyway. I didn't even want to be an actress. I guess it was just an excuse to pretend to be a tree for several years and get a very expensive piece of paper at the end to prove that I did it. As much as I can keep trying to convince myself getting a degree was a good idea, it is important to hear alternatives. So I'd like to welcome this week's guest. Despite not going to university, we have the same job. She is super experienced and a practical girl. It is my highly caffeinated, performance loving runner friend, Jessica.
Yay!
Hi. Welcome, welcome, welcome.
Thank you.
Quickly, before we sort of get into the main topic about degrees and things, I think we should clarify by what we mean by runner because, like, we're not going out on 10Ks daily.
Yeah, we are definitely not doing that. Do you want me to clarify, runner?
Yeah, you go
Yeah?
for it.
Okay, cool. So by runner, we mean a production runner. So we are running on TV shows, TV series, and basically runner is being the bottom of the pyramid, I guess, in TV, getting the coffees, the teas, all the bits that production can't do because they might be tied to their desk. We're always up on our feet, running around, getting all the things that are needed for the TV shows.
In America, it's called like a gopher because it's like go for this, go for this.
Oh, that's so interesting, isn't it?
One day you'll be in the studio and it'll just be, we need this really, really specific item that if we'd given you a week's notice, we could have ordered online, but we need it like tomorrow, so you can't order it online. So good luck finding it. You're in Boreham Wood, find it, go.
Dead, literally, like it'll be a last minute thing as well. And I think it's funny because runner is very much fitting for what the job role is. You're always on your feet. I don't remember really ever sitting down in a runner job. You're always up on your feet, being very practical, being like initiative, go and get this, go and get that. It could be the most very niche thing. And it's like you're expected to find it in London or I don't know, in a very small area like Boreham Wood.
That's sort of like led into the main topic of the episode. So it's very interesting because we do have the same job, but we've come to it from very different backgrounds. So I went to university and then started it after my degree. My degree was in drama, but I've gone into TV. So it's sort of related, but it's not directly related. Whereas you didn't go to university. So did you ever consider doing a degree? Was it ever anything on your books or were you straight into work?
Yeah, I never wanted to go to university. I remember all my peers around me at school were like, yeah, they definitely want to go to university. Then they know what they're going to study. And I just thought to myself, I wanted to do drama. So I just thought, was there any point of me going to university? There's so many people who go to drama school and go to university and go that route. But for me personally, I just never wanted to go. Like, I didn't like the idea of being away from home. Just kind of knew I never wanted to go. And to pay a lot of money, I just didn't think it was for me. So I kind of just straight away went into college. After that, straight away got into an apprenticeship and just kind of built from there, really.
Yeah, I think that's so interesting because I think it definitely sort of speaks about the background. Because for me, because both of my brothers, they went into higher education, they did engineering, they did sciences and things. So for me, it always felt like it was on the cards and I never really thought any differently about it. I don't regret going, but at the same time, I do think, was it needed? Because I do think I could have got the job I have now, like you, without going through that. But I did enjoy it. It's that it's so hard, isn't it? Because you look back and you're like, oh, there's all this debt, but I don't see it as real debt. I told Jess earlier, I went on my student loan account for the first time since I graduated, and it is disgusting. It's actually disgusting. I'm like, it's not real.
What was it, like 50K? Was it that around
Yeah,
that? Yeah, crazy.
yeah, which is insane. I'm like, well, I'm never paying that. It's just not happening.
Does it not feel like monopoly money to you? Like, as in, it doesn't feel real.
Yeah, it's like it's fake money. It's not real. At 18, so the same time that everyone was going to be going to university, how did you see it? What was your view on it?
I kind of thought to myself, I did feel a little bit left out not going. I can't lie to you, because every one of my friends were planning from after sixth form to go to university. So I did feel a bit left out, but not in a case where I was like, I should now just go. I know there's plenty of people out there who kind of think just because their friends are going, they're going to do it. But I tend to find they're the ones who like either drop out or don't end up enjoying it. And I'm not saying it's not right to go and experience these things and try it and see if you like it or not. But for me, I just knew just because everyone else is doing it doesn't mean I have to do it. There's other ways around getting into the industry and getting into what you like. Especially nowadays, I feel like there's a lot of different opportunities and courses, because that's why I did it. I went on a few courses after COVID, did a course with the Prince's Trust, which was about making it in media. At 18, 19, 20, it is quite hard at those early stages of adulthood trying to place yourself in big rooms like that. I remember going around London, giving my CV to loads of like production companies or radio companies, being like, hey, I would love to just come in as work experience or for free and just work for you guys just so I can have an experience or get things on my CV. A lot of times they're like, no, because of it was especially around the COVID time. So like, no, we're not doing that. Also, I had no experience, but I was like, how am I supposed to get experience if you guys are not even letting me through the door? But when I found this Prince's Trust thing, that was kind of when I was learning, also given the opportunity to interview at these production companies.
I think that's such an interesting point, what you were saying about how they say, oh, you need experience, even though it's work experience. The whole point of what you're trying to apply for is to gain experience. And one of the things that they sort of sell to you when you're looking at degrees is, oh, you'll gain the skills, you'll gain the experience. But then so many people have a degree, when you're coming out and then looking for work, they don't even really see it as experience because they want the practical hands-on experience. So it's, why did I spend 3-4 years doing this and for what?
Yeah, I get that. I feel it's a very hard industry as well. The TV industry is a really hard industry to get into as it is. So I feel like if you have been to university, why are you not giving that just a little bit of a step up or opportunities to get into the industry more so? I'm grateful for not having been university and still getting the same opportunities as yourself who has been uni. But I do feel like, what is the point paying all that money to be in the same boat? It feels very strange. Like, I met this guy when I used to work at a bar. I remember him being a bit older than me because I was about 18 at this time. He's probably like mid-20s. He studied at university something to do with gaming and like computer science and whatnot. So I was like, oh, that's cool. So we started talking about video games and all this. Then I asked him, if that's what you're so passionate about, and from this conversation I can see you're passionate about it, why are you here doing bar work? And he was just like, well, there's ever since I left and graduated, there's been nothing. And I thought, how cheeky, like how rude that nothing is offered to people who've left university. I'm not saying like something should just be handed to you guys, but something is just there for you guys to build up after you've just been studying a subject for how many years?
And you come in at the same level as other people that are training up sort of through vocational ways, through apprenticeships and things like that, and you all come in at the same level. And I think it's quite interesting because obviously we got our friend James, and I know he doesn't do TV anymore, but I think it's so interesting because we all met on the same job and we were all doing the same job and we were the same level. That I've got like a drama degree, sort of related. You don't have a degree, and then he's got, what's he got it in, like English literature.
Yeah.
So he's got an English literature degree, and we've all come in at the same level. Someone with a related degree, someone that's not got a degree, and then someone with an unrelated degree, and we're all working together at the same level. Because also, I think this is something you can apply with your friend at the bar that did the computer design and stuff is not specific to our industry. I think there is so many industries, even like law, accountancy and things. There's people that they're deciding not to go to university instead, and then they're working their way up. So I know someone that he, after sixth form, like he got really great results and everything. He just didn't want to go to university, and he did accountancy or something like that. And now he's like worked his way up over 5 years, and he's at a higher level than if someone who'd done their degree for 3 years, done the qualifications afterwards, because then they're starting at where he was when he started his, like, halfway through his apprenticeship.
It's great to have these courses, and that's how I ended up where I am today, doing like production work and getting into the TV industry. And without those courses, I definitely wouldn't have been able to step into that industry as easily. I feel like after I did my first job, because after I interviewed with Lifted, after that I kind of built connections and started finding my own jobs. I have always got my jobs through connections and networking, but it just shows you, because even at this course I was on, it said that nepotism is the way forward in these industries, and it's unfortunate, but it's true.
100% so true.
It's so true. I've met so many execs with their kids working on the shows. Not saying it's wrong, because if I had a kid, of course, like, I'm going to put them up to what I'm doing if they're interested.
And if they're good,
Yeah, 100%.
yeah, if they're good, it's when they turn up and they're not good, and you're like, the only reason you're here is because your mum's this or that. Like, I'm all for it.
Yeah.
Like, I will point it out because I love pointing it out. But if, like, you do it and you are good and you're passionate about it, I don't really see the problem with it.
The only problem I have with it is if they're not so much passionate about it, and then there's someone who's literally begging to be in this industry, but you've got them in their place. I think that's wrong. And I also do think there's so much space for Nepo babies, and there's not so much space for people who've just come from normal lives who want to make it or who want to get into this industry. I came in and I thought to myself, I'm surrounded by people who are from a different walk of life, and they've got it so easily. They've kind of just breezed into the TV industry, where for me, I had to kind of put up a fight and kind of show why I deserved to be there. So I do think that's conflicting. I do think the industry is drowned with nepotism. It kind of is a shame for those who just have come from normal walks of life, who just want to try and pursue it and are really passionate about it, you know?
I do think the biggest tip, if you do want to get into this industry, or any industry to be honest, is know someone. I don't just mean that in the sense of like, oh, my mum this, because I know a lot of people that have got into it because they're like, I met someone, how did she get in? It was so funny. It was, her dad was the delivery driver for the mum of the line producer.
Oh my gosh, no way.
So, like, obviously she got that through connections, but also at the same time, it's finding those connections where you can.
Yeah, I would say with things like that, it's strange, because for those out there who want to get into TV industry, it's not easy, and you have to just be good at what you do. Like, I think it's so funny when you meet those runners who come in and they're kind of like on an ego trip, and they're like, yeah, I deserve to be here. I don't need to do much to be here. When really and truly, you do need to prove your point, of stand your ground and be good at your job. Because the ones that act like, oh, I deserve to be here, you know, all that type of weird ego stuff, they don't ever stay around. So I feel like if you are interested in becoming or being a runner or being in the industry, just try and make sure you know what you're doing and you know what you're good at. Build your connections, and don't just walk in thinking, I've made it. Because I've met so many runners who think just because they've been selected that they're a chosen one. It's so weird though, because I've never think like this, but I've met so many runners who would think they're like the chosen or God's gift, and they're like, yeah, I'm here to stay, when really and truly you need to still work. Like, we're at the bottom of the pyramid. Runners are the bottom of the pyramid.
Going back to the degree as well, I mean, not me and not many of the people I know with a degree, but I do think there is sometimes like a level of people think they're a little bit too good for stuff. I don't know. I feel like I get it to like an extent, you know, you feel like you've done 4 years of supposedly being qualified for a job, and then you come in and you're making teas and coffees, which is a really important job, and you will do it in any industry. I used to work for a construction industry, and I was making teas and coffees. And I think it's so funny because I mentioned it in my intro about this lecturer that I had that was like, on your placement year, you're not making teas and coffees, you're doing actual work. And I'm like, but how am I meant to meet people? It's like a junior person with no sort of relevant skills, because apparently my degree is not teaching me any relevant skills. Because the show that we met on, one of the, like, my main job was doing teas and coffees for all of the people, like the high ups and the technical, they're called galleries. So it's like the different rooms that are operating the sound, the lighting, and all that. And that was like the main part of my job, was making teas and coffees for them. And it was full time. And I met so many people through that. And, you know, I feel like I made really good connections and things that if I was like, no, I'm too good for this, I'm too good for teas and coffees, you wouldn't have a job.
Yeah, that's so true. I mean, when you do come into it, you do feel a bit like a bit of a mule. like you're just making teas and coffees. As a runner, I was so surprised how much you're making teas and coffees. My very first job, which was on Saturday Night Takeaway, I remember being Ant and Dec's like runner, right? Because all I'd have to do is for a week prep everything for the VT, right? In the office, which was in London at the time. Their office was in Holborn, right? Prep everything for the shoot. Then I'd be doing nothing. I'd just be like making teas and coffees in the office, asking if production and execs are okay. I was very shook because I didn't know who was important, who wasn't. I found in TV, you find out very quickly who is deemed as important or not. And that's when I kind of saw the hierarchy and I was like, okay, right, I'm at the bottom of this hierarchy coming in, which I knew was going to happen, but I didn't know how serious they were about it.
That's really interesting that you were saying that because it was just something it reminded me of. Is I think it's such a great industry in that it is really casual, but there's definitely pros and cons to things being casual. Because on one side, it's great, you can really be yourself in this industry, and I don't think anyone's going to judge you. But on the other side, I think sometimes you can forget yourself a little bit in that you do get on with pretty much everyone, and you will be talking to everyone all the way from the very, very top to the people that are the same level as you. But sometimes I think you can forget yourself a little bit and you'll be a bit too casual with someone that's at the top, and they won't necessarily see it as like bad, but sometimes you're like, oh, I'm still actually at work.
I agree with that. I think with TV, it is very, very casual. You get to wear your own clothes. No one's going to really judge you. You can rock up. I've done it many of time where I rock up to TV jobs and I'm literally wearing like, jorts, trainers, a funky t-shirt, hoop earrings, like everything that is very much Jessica. Yeah, you just rock up how you are. When I see people in the TV industry, it was a shocker because I was like, everyone's literally dressing how they would outside of work. It's very easy to lose that professionalism. So when you go, say you do a TV job for 6 months, you're very in the element, yourself, you just move how you are outside of work. After that 6 months is over, you go pick up a normal 9 to 5 because jobs aren't consistent. So I remember going to a normal 9 to 5 job and Pia, I'm not even joking, I rocked up in cargos, trainers, and a top to an office job. And the lady literally pulled me aside and said, this doesn't really normally happen. And I looked at her and I was just like, what in the heck are you talking about? And I was too relaxed and I just thought to myself, it's not that deep. This was not a forever job. For me in my head, this was just a side quest job. This is just for me to make money. But what I'm forgetting is that these people don't know that. It's very hard to consistently stay in a TV job because they are and it can be short-time contracts. But you do get used to that kind of mentality, like everyone's chill, I can be myself, and end up going to a new job and doing the same thing.
But even when you're going from one contract to the next on TV, kind of what you were saying, each job, each production company that you're working for is going to have like a different standard of what you're going to be like. So on some teams, you're literally working with 10 other people and it's just the 10 of you making that show and you'll get really close. But then there's some shows that it's huge. There's like hundreds of people working on it. And I think sometimes those shows can have a bit more of a clear hierarchy as well. And they sometimes do expect you to sort of behave a bit differently to the smaller shows that you can be working on. And you come into a job and you'll be like, I know what I'm doing, I understand this job, but every show's different and every show's got a different team. So sometimes it can be a little bit hard coming in and being like, right, how am I going to be myself? Because you should always be yourself and stay true to yourself, but how am I going to be myself and fit in within this team?
I remember when I was on this course, Jasmine, the lady who did the course, I remember her saying you'll never forget when you look after like gallery or like talent, their coffee orders. And I was like, yeah, that's BS. But then the fact I remember a handful of people's, I'm like, right, I think this is actually true. Some people want their, like you say, their coffees and their teas every second of the day. I was like, how can one consume 10 coffees in a space of like 3 hours? This is insane. You better drink some water. Like, it's too much. Yeah, it's all bizarre, isn't it, with TV and how much teas and coffees really do matter. So yes, it might be the bottom of the pyramid and yes, you might be sick of taking these coffee orders, but by the end of it, you should know how to make a really good tea and coffee. I've always been good at making teas and coffees because I'm so particular about mine. I feel like I'm very fussy about other people's because I don't want them to come back to me saying, sorry, you made it too weak. Never. You'll never get a weak tea with me. You'll get a good one.
I've been told my tea was too strong once. I was like for a
What?
I say contributor. So contributor is sort of someone that's like a member of the public coming onto the show. And it was a contributor for a show I was doing. And he was like, your tea's too strong. Like, we've only got a 2-minute tea break. And because the tea station was so far away, by the time I'd made him a less strong tea, he didn't even get it. And I'm like, this is what you get for not wanting your too strong tea. And it
How
was
could
like
it be too
biscuit
strong?
coloured.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, that's such a perfect analogy. Biscuit colored tea is top tier, I think. Like it has to be that brownie. It's like a builder's tea, but just a little bit lighter, you know? It's just that's the color we want. If it's looking milky, I don't think I've met someone who loves a milky tea in production. In production, they like their tea strong.
Unless it's an oat milk, and then sometimes people ask for an OT, an OT milky
OTT?
tea. I sometimes get people asking for more milk in an oat tea because I don't think it's as strong. I literally do not understand people that make a bad cup of tea though. Like coffee, like when you've got like a coffee machine, I do kind of get that because there is a little bit of technique and there's a skill, there is a learning process that. But you put the tea bag in, go do something else, come back, and this is controversial actually. I put the milk in before I take the tea bag out.
I think it depends. Like I normally leave it for a bit, do something else, or maybe if I've got a lot of like tea and coffee orders, I'll kind of do other things or make more tea and coffee and then come back to the teas and be like, okay, there's more there. But the thing is, I tend to take it out beforehand and then put the milk in and then squeeze like with a little like strainer the leftover tea, you know, so it just makes it strong enough.
Yeah, see, my logic behind it is if I'm putting the milk in, it's still like the milk's getting infused with the tea.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I get
Like in my
that.
head, that's like what I'm thinking, and I do squeeze it out as well, like what you were saying, because like I think once you've taken the tea bag out, because I also normally like I throw that tea bag out. It's not staying on the side; that's going straight in the bin. So
Yeah,
once
yeah.
it's out, it's
It's
out.
out,
And
yeah.
because you can, sometimes you make it, you're like, oh, too much milk, and you do like squeeze out a tea bag, get a little bit more. I'm like, we've just had this really serious conversation, and then we're just there, like, and we're like, so like tea and coffee, and you were worried. When I asked you to do this episode, you were like, but what about your tea and coffee episode? I'm like, trust me, it will get
It
to
will
tea and
still be in here.
coffee.
Yeah, I'm so glad it's still in here because honestly, I was like, there's so much to talk about with it, especially in TV because that's pretty much topic of discussion. Everyone's so worried about, yes, the talent, yes, the TV show, yes, how much time we're taking and overrunning. But tea and coffee is very serious with TV.
But I don't think it is just TV though. I think
Oh, in general.
every job, I think this is like one of my biggest shocks of coming into adulthood. Like when I worked at that construction company, and every company you'll work for, they'll supply tea and coffee. It's such a huge thing that you'll get tea and coffee in your job.
Even when I worked in like a theatre, like everyone just like, oh, I need to have my coffee time at 3 o'clock. That's the thing. I just think it's just the fuel that keeps you going, especially with TV because it's such long hours. I'm sorry, but sometimes 14-hour shifts and you're just doing it and you get your coffee.
Oh my God, sometimes more.
Oh yeah, 100%. Even though the shifts are really long and even though it can get tiresome, I do love the TV schedule, as in, even if it's a 14-hour shift, it never feels that long because there's always something going on and you are having fun, you know? We're just we're not dusting around, we're working hard.
Oh my God.
We work very hard, but if we had little time for a little talk, a little drive in the golf buggy, we're doing that. We're doing that.
Yeah, and I think it is important to remember we're literally on, sometimes I don't see it in TV, but when I work at sort of like my in-between job, I do say minimum wage, minimum effort.
Oh, very interesting. But it's true. I believe in that. I'm sorry. Like, if you're paying me minimum wage, you're going to get minimal effort, honey. The reason I say minimal effort and I stand by it is because there's been so many jobs I've had over the years outside of TV production as well. They're paying you minimal wage, right? Minimum wage. And they're expecting you to do the most. And I've done it. I've actually done it. And then I realized to myself, I'm actually a dickhead for that because they could literally fire me tomorrow and get someone else the next day. And I'm thinking, why am I putting my health on the line and working hard when there's actually no positivity out of this, or I'm not getting a step up from this? Why am I doing it? So I've just realized over the years, if you are getting minimum wage, sometimes it's okay to just do the minimal effort. I'm not saying
You don't have to do the
yeah,
most.
don't do the most. I'm not saying do a rubbish job and doss around and go on your phone and whatnot, but I'm just saying, like, take it easy. This is not your lifeline. do what you can, but don't go above and beyond for these people because they could replace you like that. I just don't understand the point of doing it.
Especially if they're not respecting you. Another one of my sayings, and I'm not very good at following this, but it is a saying, is you are working to live, not living to work. And you need to remember that at the end of the
I
day.
agree. I totally agree.
So I just want to say thank you so much for giving me your time today, Jessica. It's been really lovely chatting to you about the alternative ways that you've taken instead of a degree, and also hearing about how you found the industry that we both work in and both love. And thank you so much for hearing about me trying to convince myself that a degree was the good idea. I hope you've enjoyed hearing about my quarter life crisis problems.
I have, and thank you for having me.
No worries. It was really lovely chatting to you, and I hope you have a lovely
You
day.
too, Pia. I'll see you later.
Bye.
Bye.
Thanks for that, Jessica. Although a degree technically shows that I'm highly educated, with so many people achieving bachelors, it doesn't really show that much anymore. I think that had I known more about alternatives to degrees from people like Jessica and known what career I wanted to pursue at 18, maybe I wouldn't have gone through further education and got a degree. But I'm kind of happy I did, as I really enjoyed it and I think it helped me develop as a person. But if I hadn't gone, still probably would have had fun and would have progressed, but in different ways. But that person wouldn't be who I am and where I am right now, as they would have gone their own path. And despite the quarter life crisis, I'm so happy with who I am and everything I've achieved. This has ended up being a lot more sentimental than I intended. Thank you for listening to this episode of Quarter Life Crisis, Why Do I Have a Degree? Make sure to like and subscribe wherever you're listening to the podcast. Tune in next week for Why Am I Still Living at Home?